All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm just going to bide a little bit of time here so that a few more people can log on. As I suspected, this is a busy Saturday for people, so we're probably not going to have too many folks logging in, but that is okie dokie. We just wanted to get these videos out there so that people can understand my wines. Welcome to everybody that's out there. Absolutely fantastic. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello, friends. My name is Brad Beard, owner and winemaker for Mercury Wine, located in downtown Geyserville, California. Welcome to Tastings with Brad. All of you guys are muted right now, but you are more than welcome to unmute yourself, and you can ask questions as we're going along. I also will be stopping periodically and asking if you guys have questions, so you're more welcome to jump in there. So that is, one last little detail. We are switching these from Saturdays at 3 to Wednesdays at 5 Pacific Standard Time. So we're doing one today, and we're going to be doing one this coming Wednesday. We'll be staying in the room today, Viognier. We're going to be doing Mourvedre on Wednesday. So we're going to be doing a couple back-to-back here, but that seems to be, with all the feedback that I got from you guys, that that would be a much better day to have. So what are we going to do today? Let's talk about Viognier. Viognier is absolutely fantastic grape. We're going to be talking about where it's originally from, what people do with it, where it's grown today, where it's gaining popularity or losing popularity as things go, and as people's fancies change, the grapes bounce around. But let's go ahead and start out with where it's from and why it's a crazy good grape. Where it's from is, I believe, it is from the Rhone region in France. If you're not familiar with it, the Rhone region is a very long river that runs through from the north to the south of France. And as always, the good folks, oh gosh, the Croatians, they claim a lot of grapes to be originating from their countries. But sorry, guys, I believe this one is not. For two main reasons. It's family lineage, and the family lineage is a crazy white grape called Mont du Blanche. It is a white grape. If you've never heard of it, that's okay. Very not widely planted at all, but was a definitely an indigenous grape to the Rhone region. And there is a red grape actually that's in its lineage, which is a Durez. It is a red grape from the Rhone region as well. And so that's why I don't believe that this grape came from Croatia originally. But, you know, that debate can go on for a long time. Where is this grape planted? I was just talking about the Rhone. So the Rhone, it is a white grape varietal grown in the Rhone from the south to the north, a little bit more popular in the north. It is fairly widely planted here in the United States with about 6,500 acres. The majority of those grapes are planted here in California, but there's a little bit up in Oregon, Washington, Arizona has a little bit, Texas has a little bit, and maybe an up and coming region out in Virginia, but I've never had one of those wines, so I can't speak to it there. Other regions are Australia. Hang on a second. Freddie, you're supposed to be having an easy time today. All right, we'll let Freddie out. He'll be back. It's his birthday. He's allowed to do these kind of things. Then we'll just leave it open. That's fine. So anyway, Australia grows quite a bit of it down in South Africa, Argentina, Chile. The Australians mainly planted it because it's planted in the Rhone, and they use it for a lot of blending down there as well. Let me see. So planted. Okay, that's some good information. That's pretty much it for where it came from. But of course, Romans did plant it all over the place. They grab grapes, move them around. Believe it or not, this grape is fairly widely planted actually in the Piemonte region of Italy, and the Romans for sure did that. That's pretty much its little lineage, its heritage. So what do people do with this grape? Well, it is known as 100% wine, and so the northern regions of Rhone up in the Côte Rôtie, they produce a wine called Condrieu, and that would typically be 100% Viognier. A little bit colder up there, so it's a little leaner, a little more minerally, maybe some flavors of lime and tangerine versus warmer climates that are going to pick up. Um, oh gosh, you can have everything from pears, apples. The warmer it gets, a little more tropical with your pineapple and mango. And also depending on how you made the wine. We'll get into that a little bit later. One little side fun fact, this grape in the 60s it almost fell off the map, actually, especially in France and even in the Rhone region where it's originally from. Less than 8 acres were still planted in the 60s in France, and most vineyards throughout the Rhone didn't have it planted separately because they were blending with other grapes, and so they interspersed this grape in the plantings, and so it wasn't planted by itself. So let's talk about that. What is this grape blended with? So in the Rhone, typically it is a standalone if it's going to be done as Viognier, as a standalone grape, but most widely blended with actually Syrah. So it is a white grape that is blended with Syrah. In the north, they're allowed to blend up to 20% of the blend can be Viognier in their Syrah. Typically, though, in the Côte Rôtie in those areas, it's the max would. I don't think I've seen one over 10%, usually around 5. And then it's typically blended 1 to 2% throughout the rest of the southern regions in Rome. Why would you blend a white grape with a red grape? There's a couple of great reasons for that. You've got these things that are called flavonoids, and you've got these anthocyanins. So anthocyanins are the chemical, it is what the red pigment is made of in the red grape skins. And if you are trying to extract more of those from your red grape, you would want some flavonoids. And because as the wine's fermenting, those are digging into the skins and pulling more color out. So if you'd like your wine to be a little darker, you would want to use a little bit of Viognier grapes in there, because Viognier is very high in those flavonoids, so it really extracts a lot of color. We get a lot of ripening here in the United States, so not a lot of people will add the Viognier or co-ferment the Viognier grape because we are getting a lot of extraction and color out of it. But I do know a lot of people, there's quite a few people that are. Typically, they're going to go ahead and intersperse their Syrah plantings like they do in their own, one every 6 plants, one every 12 plants, one every 15, whatever they feel is right. And then in other regions of France, they will blend the Viognier as a background blender with Chardonnay. It'll help bring up the weight. So especially with the cooler climate Chardonnays that aren't getting quite as ripe, they'll throw a little bit of Viognier in there to add it with some flavors, and also it brings a little bit of color to the game because it's a darker yellow skin grape, just like Chardonnay. So I was just saying earlier, the 60s, only about 8 acres were planted, but what saved Viognier and why is it such a widely planted grape? And as a varietal, why is it a planted varietal grape? Because in the 90s, Americans were inundated with thick and syrupy, heavily extracted, massively oaked Chardonnays. And people were looking for alternatives to Chardonnay um, that were not made in that style. Your Chardonnays didn't have to be made in that style, but that's definitely what the fashion of the day was for Chardonnay. So if people didn't want to be drinking Gewürztraminer, Pinot Blanc, or Sauvignon Blanc because they wanted a wine with a little more weight, a little bit a thicker palate, but not full of that syrupy vanilla that they were adding into the Chardonnay. Viognier became extremely popular as the alternative white grape that wasn't, fun and acidic like a Sauvignon Blanc. So that's what saved it. That's why we have 6,000 acres planted throughout the United States, and it's a pretty dang popular alternative white grape here. Sorry, I've just got to have a little taste. I'm talking way too much. So before I get into how this wine is made around the world as 100% varietal and different things like that, if we have any other questions about where it's grown, how it's grown. Oh, I've got a how it's grown question. The northern Rhone areas are fairly cold, producing those leaner, more limey and tangerine flavors. Here in the United States, grows fantastically closer to the coast in Paso Robles, grows beautiful here in the Alexander Valley, all the way into the Russian River. It is very nice, and we can get a wide range from those zestier lime notes and tangerines all the way to the tropical notes. And mine is sort of on the border. It's in the hills here in the Alexander Valley, so not a lot of sun and ripening. And we do get that wonderful fog influence coming in from the Russian River. And so nice warm afternoons, not hot, and nice cool nights help preserving some of the acids. This is a relatively low acid wine, but those cool nights help preserve some of those acids. And how the wine is made around the world. Some people use 100% stainless steel. They'll ferment it in stainless steel, age it in stainless steel, keep preserving some of those fresher, younger, riper flavors. There's some other folks that will barrel ferment this, and not most people aren't using heavy oak like Chardonnay, because like I was saying earlier, the whole point of Viognier was that it wasn't oaky and buttery and vanilla-y like Chardonnay. So they'd be using neutral barrels and then aging it in those same neutral barrels. I'm right down the middle. We ferment this wine in stainless steel, and it sits there for a little bit. It settles out, it does its thing. And then for about a month or two, we will put it into very neutral oak barrels. That will help with the oxidation, take away some of those ripe fruits and allow those other more tropical notes to develop. So we like doing that. We don't send this wine through any malolactic fermentation to get that buttery flavor as well. So mine is a little, probably just a month or two longer in the stainless steel or in the oak than it is in stainless steel. It takes me about a month and a half to get it going, and then 3 or 4 months of barrel aging. And this wine will be bottled sometime in February, maybe late February, March. And I like this wine particularly closer to the winter. That's why I'm drinking it right now, because it has this nice rich character and this beautiful mouthfeel. And it does great with spicy or overly spiced foods. So it's a big fan for that. So that's how I make mine. We do use an American yeast. I use the same yeast on my Viognier as I do my Chardonnay, the Wente clone. That has a lot of high aromatics. I want something that's going to dig in there and try to bring those flavors out. All right. It likes medium warm days, cool nights. Let's get into tasting this wine. Let's see how this one tastes. Or yeah, we'll talk about what the Condru tastes like, what they call it in the Côte Rôtie up there in the top of France there. All right, so we have this beautiful light lemon color, not too orange, just a nice zesty lemony color, not as bright as a Sauvignon Blanc, but not as heavy as one of those thicker Chardonnays that we were talking about earlier, or even my Albarino is a little darker than this. So beautiful, nice light lemony color. Mm, wow. Wonderful aromatics. Mine starts out with a nice, not too ripe pear, some good crisp apple, not really a green apple, but a good, ripe red apple flavor blending with the pear. I'm getting some nice tropical notes after the pear, maybe a little mix of mango and pineapple with some wet stone. Just some nice minerally characteristics going through uh, the nose as it's kind of coming along. Maybe picking up a little bit of that oiliness or that mid palate weight in the nose where it's kind of that got a rich flavor. Mm. It's okay, Freddie. It's all right. On the palate, the pears definitely transfer through a little bit. I'm picking up a little bit more lime, maybe a little bit, maybe some hints of honeysuckle in some of that tropical note translating from the nose or to the aromatics into the wine. I just love the mouthfeel. It's not that bitey, acidic Sauvignon Blanc style. And I even try to mind my acids in my Sauvignon Blancs to have a little bit of a richer character, but I don't want to tweak that too much or work on that too much just because Sauvignon Blanc is supposed to have that mouth-watering, bright fruit character. So this, because I thought we were going to have a quieter day here. Freddie, what's the matter? Um, because it's just got this weightier mouthfeel, and that's what I'm looking for it. Versus a Sauvignon Blanc or a Gewürztraminer or something like that. Like I said, it really goes well with wonderfully spicy foods. If you caught me last night, I was with the happy hour. I paired this up with some smoked salmons done three different ways. Just a classic smoked salmon, one with a maple glaze, and then another one with a pepper crust to it as well. It went absolutely fantastic with all those. And we'll go with all those spicy desserts for the holidays. And again, that gentler, more rich palate seems to lend itself to me to be a little bit more of a wintry white wine. Good structure. Acids is perfect for me right there. Just an absolutely wonderful wine. If you've never had Viognier before, they can honestly be a little hit and miss out there, depending on the grower. I was mentioning earlier, this can be somewhat of a difficult grape. If you get it a little bit overripe, a couple things can happen. You can start getting some mildews. That's going to add some funkier flavors to it. That's not really what we're looking for. The overripeness is going to make that viscosity of the palate end up being clawing. And so not only if it's overripe can the wine become clawing on the finish, which means this is not a clean finish back here. Typically then it's going to be high in alcohol, but they're probably going to have some residual sugar in it as well. And then that thickness that I love on a perfectly ripened, with that beautiful mouthfeel, can then just become really distracting, and those flavors just kind of stick to your tongue instead of pleasantly leaving your tongue. You're almost trying to swallow them out so you can get on to the next thing. So those are some things you can get with some frankly not very well made Viogniers out there. Um, Going to the Condrieu, it's a cooler climate, so your cooler climate ones are going to be a little bit brighter, but it's still going to have that nice mouthfeel. Just a little bit different flavor profiles through there. But as with all of these wines, you really need to do some homework. You know, if you're purchasing the wine and it's, you haven't had a chance to taste it, if you can ask the winemaker or, somebody, just shoot them an email. Is what style is this wine made in, or what are you looking for out of it? And that can give you some hints, but I'd be looking for the ones that are harvested at the peak of ripeness and not a second later. Very crucial to me to get this thing off the vine at the right time. And to me, that's a lower brick of sugar, probably around 24, 13 and a half will totally work. 23 and a half will totally work. For me, I really shoot for 24. And if it goes a smidgen above that, that's okay. That keeps my alcohol around 13.8. 13.9, so we don't have a high perception of alcohol here, and then all of those negative aspects that the grape can produce are gone as well. And then while I was doing this, preparing for this and thinking about all the different ways people make these wines around the world, I am going to be co-fermenting Viognier in my Syrah next year. I'm absolutely going to do it. I am excited to do it. So I'm going to make a small batch. Maybe I'll do a ton and a half of that. And if it turns out extra fantastic, maybe I'll do a just a Syrah and Viognier blend or co-fermented blend. That sounds really exciting to me. I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to let people know right now that I need to do it. So I just need to decide what percentage I'm going to do it in. I don't think I want 20, but I want to know that the wine was in there. So I'll probably go with a 10% blend. We'll do that by weight, of course, since I won't be doing it with juice later. But there you have it. There's my impressions about my Viognier. If you haven't experienced it, go out there and try to find it. Like I said, it's a great in-between grape. It's not as heavy as a Chardonnay, but not as bright and acidic as a Sauvignon Blanc. I love it. I love it during the wintertime because of those wonderful spicy characteristics. And honestly, I was just thinking, there's a little bit of spice. I associate vanilla and spice, so I'm just picking up just a little vanilla. That came from the oak barrels that it was in, just for a little bit. Just smidgens of hints on it. Beautiful. Adding one more layer there. So if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys for tuning in on a couple Saturdays before Christmas. I know everybody's got lots of things to do. So hopefully we'll have a few more folks visit us on Wednesday, but thank you guys very much. We'll see you soon.
Okay, so my question is that you said you're going to do a co-fermentation with the Viognier and the Syrah.
Yes.
Why a co-fermentation? What does that give you?
Okay, the co-fermentation is super important for this because we were talking about the anthocyanins and the flavonoids, and so if you co-ferment, especially Viognier with a red grape, those flavonoids are going to go in and get those anthocyanins and extract more color and more flavor out of the skin. So that's why I would do a co-fermentation versus just adding the wine at the end, because it's going to give me more than what I could get by adding it to the end. Another fun fact, if you don't have any wine away and somebody spills red wine on your white carpeting or on your white shirt or something like that, if you add a little bit of white wine on top of the red on your carpet, those flavonoids are actually still there and they will help extract that red wine pigment out of your carpeting. But it's mainly for the extraction is why I would co-ferment. And it's also done in Italy a lot. There's a white grape called Chasselas Doré, or it's a Swiss grape actually, and a lot of Italians will throw in 1% of that into their red grapes to do that exact same thing, especially up in the north where they are closer to the Alps, where their grapes aren't getting as ripe, and to extract as much color as possible. And you will add some flavors in the background. You won't recognize it as Viognier or Chasse Lastore, but those things are really adding a lot to the pigments. Sorry about that. I didn't think anybody had any questions today.
Well, here's part two. I guess this
Okay.
is more of a general question. I was very specific, and this has to do with a lot of the whites I've had. I mean, the Riesling. There's a guy around here who makes a good Riesling, and Albarino. I on the nose, I get a lot of not a lot, but enough of the citrus pollen that it smells like an orange or a grapefruit tree right outside my back door. And do you get that with the Viognier, or is it just me?
Okay. I'm not as sensitive to it. With this particular Viognier, where it's grown here in the Alexander Valley, it's not quite as cool. And if this Viognier was grown in a little bit cooler area, maybe a little closer to the Russian River, I'd be picking up the honeysuckle, the jasmine, or orange blossom is an absolute classic identifier to Viognier, especially in the aromatics. If the wine gets a little riper, those will translate to the palate and then become perfumey for me. And so I'm hypersensitive to it, and I don't want those beautiful citrusy blossom aromatics to end up being perfumey, where they would, what I mean by perfume, where they would stick on your palate, and then you're getting a lot of retronasal for those flavors. So for me, I'm trying to moderate those, get just enough in so I can enjoy it, but not have too many to where they end up becoming annoying. And I guess for me, that would just be trying to balance those. And in Viognier, it's very difficult to balance those things. An unpalatable Viognier, those jasmine, citrusy blossom aromatics will just get stuck on the back of my palate. And I'm going to ask for you now. So do those beautiful aromatics, are they on the back of your palate as well?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like almost overwhelming, but I haven't had that with the Viognier or with the Albarino in a long time. I think the last time I picked up a bottle of that was a year and a half ago. I just haven't had it in the house. I haven't been able to put my paws on it. So hard for me to remember back that far.
It might also be the residual sugar that the winemaker left in or added into the wine, because the residual sugar can highlight those things, and also that would intensify those flavors on the back of the palate as well. And so for me, if I get one that's really aromatic and it is almost perfumey or clawing for me, and let's say I ordered it, I probably am going to order it because I'm having some very spiced foods. It's going to be totally fine for me once I start eating, because that's really going to help. It's really going to pair nicely with those things. So I'll mind it if I'm just drinking it on its own, but I don't mind it at all once you end up with a relatively spicy dish. And as my wine is warming up here, it's absolutely enhancing those things. As it's just been a half an hour since I was nosing this wine, and for me, I'm getting a lot more of the maybe jasmine or honeysuckle up front, and I've actually kind of lost I've lost a lot of the pineapple as this wine is warming up. The jasmine and honeysuckle is coming out, which makes sense because as white wines warm up, the aromatics just get much greater. And so for me, I always, if I'm going to be geeking out on a wine and really paying attention to it, I'll prefer my white to start out probably at 58 degrees, which is typically a white red wine temperature, because a very chilled white wine will reduce a lot of the aromatics, and it'll also reduce a lot of flaws. If you've got a syrupy sweet wine and it's very, very chilled, you're not going to notice that thickness of the sugar quite as much, and it won't be as cloying on the palate. So if I'm really trying to find a flaw in a white wine, I'll let it get a little bit warmer so that I can see if anything else is not there. But this wine to me is just really, I don't know, it's presenting itself absolutely fantastic. So this is a 2019 that we're drinking right now, and gosh, we bottled this. It was in the March timeframe, if I recall correctly. So it's had some nice time to bottle age. All right, anything else for me? Awesome. All right. Well, hey, I know who that is. Greg, thank you so much for asking all those fantastic questions. The Lilies, where the heck are they today? They had a bunch of good questions last week as well. But I have a feeling that we're going to have, it's at the very end there. Oh, they're unblocking. All right, guys. Well, hey,
Hello.
but thank you guys all so much. I certainly hope you guys, especially my initial core following Wednesday's work, but I got a lot of feedback that Saturdays just weren't good and it was just horrible for me. So hopefully we'll see you guys all again very soon on Wednesday and at 5 o'clock, so we can have a little drinky after work and talk about some fun wines. We're staying in the Rhone. We'll be doing my brand new 2018 Element, and maybe we'll do a side by side. I might bring out my 16 Element as well, because they're both just fantastic. So we will have a lot of fun on Wednesday.